What up, fam? Chief X with this common sense science again. So, the title of this is Dr. Ben a cult leader, right? And are his followers cultish, right? So, let me just, I wrote this down. Let me just give you this definition of a cult. It can be religious or non religious. A system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. Conscious community is a relatively small group. A person or thing that is popular or fashionable, especially among a particular section of society. That particular section of society is what we call, for lack of a better word, the conscious community. And I began to realize that the conscious community is a cult with all different type of leaders, right? People who believe in the charlatan Dr. Sebi, who's never healed one person on earth ever in his life, never cured anyone of any major disease of life. His followers and believers are cultish. I call them Sebeites. Now, this is not no established organization, but in theory and in practice, the believers in Dr. Sebi, the followers of Dr. Sebi's diet and teachings, are cultish. The epitome of being cultish. Now, Dr. Ben is held in high esteem by everyone in the conscious community. And that section of people, that small, relatively small group, knows him. Most outside of that group don't know who Dr. Ben is. Let's just be honest. My daddy don't know who Dr. Ben is. Never heard of him. My mama don't. None of my uncles, none of my aunties, none of my cousins, nobody in my family, in other people's family, know him like that or even heard of him. I'm 51 years old. Don't tell me any difference. I'm experienced with people in society and what's going on. This is true. You can't refute this. Ask your grandma and your granddaddy and your mom and daddy, do they know who Dr. Ben is? They're going to tell you no, and you guys know it. Let's just be real. I don't want to see none of this bullshit in the comments and all this old dumb talk and trying to cover and save face. It's not necessary. Sometimes it's just okay to just be honest and have an honest discussion, people. It's okay. I used to think people in the conscious community were truth seekers. I was dead wrong. People are still Messiah prone. People are still searching for identities as grown-ass old men and women. People are looking for some kind of savior figure to believe in. And, it's always been like that in the black community. So, Dr. Ben, in hindsight, because I've changed over the last 3 years. In hindsight, like last night, I was listening to Dr. Ben lecture. And in hindsight, contrary to what I used to believe, I'm listening, I'm like, it's nothing deep. Dr. Ben is a storyteller and an entertainer. He's a storyteller and entertainer for the conscious community. And back in the day and today, they just love being entertained by his stories and his talk. And he definitely, because I watched 2 lectures last night, claim us African Americans to be those ancient Egyptians, which is wrong. And he knows that. He knew that. We're not Nubians or ancient Egyptians, but let me go on. So, why is Dr. Ben revered so much as far as people will cancel you if you say something against what they believe about Dr. Ben? If you critique Dr. Ben, people will cancel you. People, you mentioned something about Dr. Ben wasn't this or wasn't that and this and that. People will be in an uproar. Oh my God, he said something about Dr. Ben. Cancel him. Oh, and they'll have a fucking heart attack and a nervous breakdown behind Dr. Ben. And in hindsight, when I think deeper, I'm like, what the fuck is this? People will call you all kind of names and insult you. So I'm like, wait a minute here. People critique Martin Luther King. They spit fire on Martin Luther King. And none of these people in the conscious community will cancel them. Or be all in the uproar. Oh my God, you have Martin Luther King. Because they revere Dr. Ben more. Because he's their cult leader. That's why. Now, I need you guys to think deeply when I'm talking and listen. If you don't complete this video, don't comment. The last video I made, I can tell 90% of the people did not watch that complete video. They seen the title and the caption and snapped, became reactionary, became emotional wrecks, and just got to typing and didn't even hear the video. Didn't even realize not one time did I talk about Dr. Ben's teachings or try to correct his teachings. It wasn't even about that. So I hope you listen this time and never comment on a video that you didn't watch. That's about the dumbest thing, because the person who made the video can always tell by comments if the person watched it, because you didn't speak on one thing mentioned in the video. All you spoke on was the title of the video. So titles can be for shock value to make you look at the video. But a lot of cats are intellectually lazy. They don't have intellectual stamina to actually listen to someone outside of Tariq Nasheed and Polite and shit. If you're not popular, they think you don't know what the fuck you talking about or who are you to listen to. This is the mindset of people in the conscious community. So I'm listening to his debates, and I've tried to listen to them over the last couple months, and I just couldn't, because it was all entertainment and storytelling. To tap into the emotions of the conscious community people. So if one says something against Martin Luther King, nobody cares. And you guys got the audacity to think Dr. Ben has done more work and is more important than Martin Luther King? This is sycophant behavior. Everyone critiques Martin Luther King. I've heard Malcolm X and such. I heard Sonetta critique Malcolm X. He said Malcolm X was wrong for telling this story in the news and to these reporters. He was wrong for this and that. Malcolm X is this, he's gay, he's this and that. And nobody cancels these people. Nobody gets up in the uproar and say, oh, you tripping on this motherfucker. Oh. People get into an uproar and will snap behind you critiquing Dr. Ben. Because he's looked at as a religious figure by his cult members who are cultish. You can critique Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and any other popular person, and it's all good. But not Dr. Ben. You have to ask yourself, why is that? Are we that far gone extreme? Well, we've elevated this person who doesn't need that elevation to this point where he can't even be critiqued. You can't even tell the truth about him. Like when I tell people Dr. Ben lied about saying he was born in Ethiopia. Oh my God! Then they start lying and covering. Well, hey, he never said that. He said. Then they'll lie for him. Then I had to show the video out the horse's mouth where Dr. Ben said he was born in Ethiopia. He doubled down and said him and his father were born in Ethiopia. His mother, Puerto Rico. Have you ever listened to this? Have you ever heard Dr. Ben say his mother's Afro-Puerto Rican? No, he just says Puerto Rican. And he claims Ethiopia and Puerto Rican. He doesn't claim West Africa. He didn't lay himself out to the people as being us, just in a different diaspora. Dr. Ben comes from West Central African stock like we do. Nappy is all outdoors. And nappy is not a negative word, only in your mind. Dr. Ben's hair is more nappy than mine when I had hair. He's not biracial. Why he doesn't say Afro-Puerto Rican? Because when you say Afro-Puerto Rican, that lends to say your people got off a ship from West Africa and brought to the Caribbean. He didn't lead credence to that. He jumped off, placing himself outside of you or something different than you, genetically and culturally. Oh, I'm not y'all. My mama's of Puerto Rican and my daddy is Ethiopian. No, your mama's not Puerto Rican, Dr. Ben. No, excuse me. Let me revise that. She can be Puerto Rican culturally, but even her descendants is off a slave ship from Central Africa. His mama wasn't a loose hair, straight hair Puerto Rican like a Latino. Ain't nothing biracial about Dr. Ben. His shit is nappy as hell. Just like his mama's stuff was nappy, just like his daddy's stuff was nappy, and that came up out of sub-Saharan Africa. Let's dispel this bullshit and these lies. See, your rules are your rules. Your rules ain't mine. I didn't sign up for holding anyone to a cultish figure. Thank you for teaching some history, but you're not no cult leader to me, and I'm not cultish. Chief X is not cultish. Those are y'all rules, not my rules. I don't go by no conscious community rules. I go by rules of life and common sense. In y'all's rules, you can't critique Dr. Ben or expose a lie he told or give your opinion about. That's y'all rules, not my rules. Take me out of that shit. I'm an individual. I believe in individualism. How are you holding? Why don't you show the same uproar when people critique Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or Elijah Muhammad that you show with Dr. Ben? When you think about it, you got to say, you know what? That's fucking true. Chief X is right. I've been cultish. I fell in line with group herd ideology, group think ideology. which is basically you have a group of people who all think a certain type of way. And people in that group don't want to come outside of that box of thinking and say something different than the other people in the group, so they won't be considered an outsider. They fall in line with the cult, or suffer banishment, or suffer being talked about. People are talking about Chief X today because why? Chief X is an individual with his own mind who recognizes bullshit. Chief X is one who's learned and knows how to separate the live from the jive. How has ancient Egypt improved your life? Studying about ancient Egypt, Kemet, how has that improved your life? How has it helped you any kind of way in life? Now, if you think about that and be honest, you're going to say, you know what? None. It's a hobby. It's the same thing as saying, if I studied the Shaolin Temple and if I studied the history of China, that's supposed to improve my life? No. It's just a study of history. It's a fucking hobby you like. If you're interested in history, study it. It's not going to improve your life. Studying, embracing Kemet does nothing for your life. That's why Dr. Ben died broke. Because real professors who are employed by a university or a high school at least have a job. And they retire from that job and they get a pension. And they can be fine in their old age. My daddy worked for the post office for 50 years. My daddy retired and got like damn near 100 racks, 100,000 in his bank. He had sick time built up, vacation time built that he ain't took in years, all kind of shit built up, retirement, 401k, all this old shit with the federal government and all this old shit. And when he retired, they cashed him out all that shit. He got all that shit along with the pension he gets 100% because he did 50 years down there. And he's fine in his old age. My daddy's financial situation is better and was better than Dr. Ben's. And he's a postal worker. Studying and teaching Kemet didn't. He died broke. His students today, and I only can mention people that you know, because like for instance, Dr. Reggie. And he's not a doctor, but Sonetta calls him Dr. Reggie. He doesn't even have a bachelor's degree. But look at his life. And he reveres Ben more than anyone I know. Reggie is broke. Now, Reggie don't have a car. Reggie don't have a job. He gets excited when Sonetta throw his Cash App in the chat and people may donate a little something to him to help his broke ass out. And I'm not trying to disparage him. I'm just trying to be real and give y'all some real life examples. These niggas is broke. Asar Imhotep, a.k.a. Harold Johnson. These cats is broke. 1 minute he in Texas, the next minute he in Philadelphia, all over the place. Don't nobody with no job is all over the place. One day in Texas, one day. What the? You watch these people streaming and doing lives. They sitting up in some little corner and all you can see is the background of them. And they just in somebody's, you know they living with somebody because they don't have their own space. Where they can be free and talk and have discussion and be a YouTuber like they want to be and shit. And have their own space. Like Sonetta, he has his own space. his own room as a grown man where he can do his shit, where he can do his hustle. I respect that of Sonetta. If he move, he's going to make sure he has his own space. Harold Johnson's always tucked up in it. That's how you know people broke. I'm telling you. This is a sure shot side. People broke and live with mama, daddy, or some family member. And don't live on their own. They're always cooped up in some little corner of the room, and all you can see is a little white wall in the background, or whatever they hang on that little wall while they do their video. Look, I'm a grown-ass man. Look, I'm in my own space that I pay rent in. It can be free to talk and discuss. I'm a grown-ass man. Grown-ass responsible men have their own space. Because they don't live with Big Mama. How is Kemet helping these guys' lives? You can be the most smartest cat in the world. See, people are putting their whole lives and energy into Hotep hustling you. So they only make money off a Cash App, or if you buy their book, or they may edit something for somebody, get a little fee, or all this. How you got a job and you back and forth from Philly and Texas? Plus you're writing 2, 3, 4, 5 books. You're editing, but that's not a job or a business. It's a Hotep hustle. Uncle Vitamin Rock Squad has never had his own space. He lived with mama. Not mama, I'm sorry. Excuse me. He lives with family. People live with somebody. You'll see him talking live and doing debates and live streaming in their motherfucking cars. Because they don't have how are you a YouTuber and you don't have your own space? You niggas been YouTubing for 15 fucking years and you still ain't got your own space, no bells and whistles. You ain't got, you're on your fucking cell phone streaming and shit. Like, let's be real. These niggas don't even have a desktop computer to sit at or a desk to be their own man in their own space. How is Kemet helping these niggas in their life, in their progress? It's not. Niggas ain't got no wives, no girlfriend. Onk's wife left him. He ain't told nobody that. Ask him. I'm making hardcore examples of people you know. I can go on. What jobs do these people have? What business do these people have besides a website that's Hotep hustling you? Hotep shoe hustling you. This is why they're broke. It's no money in books, in these things to improve your life. At best, 50 people may buy a book, and that's dead the next 2 years. They're not buying a book. So people got to keep pushing. They say, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this book. And none of this shit is improving your lives. You've been stagnant. Dr. Ben Hotep hustle. He made his money by going on tours and entertaining Black Americans who didn't know any better. By storytelling. And Ankh likes to kick this thing like Dr. Ben was into science. Not really. He was just into history. And his only example is some couple pictures on a couple pages in one of his books of some skeletal remains and some skulls. Dr. Ben didn't kick science information. He wasn't scientific. To the world of academia, Dr. Ben was a quack. That's not disparaging him. I'm just telling the reality and everyone knows it. Outside of the conscious community clique, Dr. Ben was a quack to the world of academia. He was not a deep Egyptologist. He was to people who didn't know any better, like Black Americans. But people, even students in the scholarly world, don't listen to Dr. Ben for information, regardless of their race. Like, people in the conscious community bring on white Egyptologists or whatever, Arab Egyptologist or whatever Egyptologist who has actual credentials, and all races listen to them and learn. All races don't listen to Dr. Ben, except conscious community people. Or some newbies who just may have ran across his video and got entertained by his storytelling. Dr. Ben took people back and forth to Egypt. Cool. If you want to learn about Egyptian history, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not your history. Oh, see, let me tell you why people don't want you critiquing Dr. Ben or going against anything he said. Because everything hinges on Dr. Ben. People have to go fight high and low to save face and keep Ben on this pedestal, lie about him, co-sign his lies, because it all crumbles. That means all these books these Negroes wrote, all these debates we've had, like Kemet on trial, you have to discard and throw all these books and all that debate and all that shit in the trash. Think about it. Kemet on trial. Guess what that is? People talking about Egypt or Kemet and Israel, and they're debating against each other who's right or who's wrong, and they're both wrong. Neither one of them are African Americans or Black Americans, culture or people. It was a whole fiasco. This whole entire conscious community fiasco has been about Kemet versus Israel. You're either talking about Hebrew Israelites, Christianity, or ancient Egypt. Nobody's talking about West Africa, really, in general. People have, Kemet on trial was a debate that Black Americans was in, talking about a whole nother other people's culture, debating another people's culture against another people's culture. And if neither one of them are our culture. If you just think about this. This is how cultish and out of touch and way off course Black Americans are. It's the same exact thing is us sitting up here debating about Chinese culture and Japanese culture and which done what and who's better than what and who stole what from us. We're talking about Japanese and Chinese who are always been at odds with each other in the Japanese-Chinese war, and they couldn't stand each other. The Japanese beat the fuck out the Chinese, and then they came up, now they damn near war power. Okay? It's the same thing of us debating Japan and China. It's the exact same correlation. Japan and China is not a culture. Kemet and Israel is not our culture. And here we are, African Americans, looking stupid, debating other people's culture and who was right. Guess what? They're all fucking wrong. The Kemet side is wrong. The Hebrew Israelite side is wrong. This whole conscious community started out right there, focusing on Egypt and Israel area. Nation Islam, we Asiatic. West Asia is Asiatic. The Moors, Noble Drew Alim, we're Asiatic. Even the Hebrew Israelites, we're Asiatic. Black Americans on Dr. Ben, Egypt. Right there in that location. And then none of that got shit to do with us. Yes, the conscious community is a cult. And cultish. And that's why they hold Dr. Ben up to this high esteem as if he's God. And you bet not say nothing against God. Remember, those are y'all motherfucking rules. These ain't Chief X rules. I'm a damn grandfather. 51 years old. I've earned the right to critique any fucking body. I've been around and done it. You sit your young ass down. I'm an elder. I can critique what the fuck I want and say what the fuck I want. You know y'all leave Grandpa alone. Grandpa can say what the hell he want to say and critique whatever. Shut your mouth talking to Grandpa. Like, how has Egypt helped any of these people's life? It doesn't help your life. Let's just be honest about shit. These people are going to die broke on that course. You watch all these live streams, nobody want to come on camera. Everybody's faking and fronting. Like this one chick named that moderates for Ankh. This fake ass low self-esteem having bitch. CK the Poet. Chani, I think the heifer name is. Can't stand this little devious heifer. She is the reason, low key, and y'all don't even know, I've been figured it out, why NBK and Amin Ra Squad and all these groups and pseudo killers is feuding. She's the one who screenshots all that because she sides with everybody. She's a part of NBK. She's a part of Amin Ra Squad. She's a part of Mase. She's a part of everything. And low key, when y'all in them server groups, that's why I was kicked out of NBK group and we was cool. Me and the NBK, we was cool. Shani, CK the Poet, screenshotting my shit and telling Ankh on me, telling NBK, telling whoever she can tell, whatever causes, low key, CK the Poet is a snake. I told people years ago, why is this girl moderating y'all fucking groups? Because she's a moderator, she's like a helpmate to these people. Right? Let me do this for you, let me promote this for you, let me do this for you, let me do this for you. That's how she slithered her way up and shit. And all these cats that have beef, CK jumped off your beef if you didn't know. CK is the screenshot queen who snitches on everybody. Don't trust her. Listen to what I'm telling you. I don't just talk about people. I'm a real cat. I would never just do that. If I tell you something about somebody, bet your bottom dollar on it. The reason why about 10 different men fell out is because of CK the Poet. In other words, Shani's scantless ass. She can't even come on camera. Her self-esteem is so low. When have you ever seen CK the Poet on camera talking to y'all? She be on about all these panels and shit and talking. She's never shown her because she doesn't think she's a nice looking woman and she has very low self-esteem. I don't talk about people's look, but I know where her mind is at. She's a weirdo. She has extremely low self-esteem, and this is why she does what she do. She can't even show her face on camera. You go to her Facebook page, every picture she has is something old when she's young. She don't want to update her shit. Y'all need to keep an eye on that snake, CK the Poet. And she has slight mental health issues. I've observed for years. Trust and believe me. So, like, why is all these cats doing so bad in life? Shaka Amos, broke.